From dominating the West Coast Conference to balancing life as a pro and coach, what does it take to navigate the race for the card while mentoring the next generation of Ducks? Today, we're joined by Kaleiya Romero, a standout from Pepperdine, current Epson Tour rookie, and University of Oregon assistant coach, to discuss the leap to the professional ranks and how coaching has sharpened her own competitive edge. Don't go anywhere. The Women of Golf starts right now.
The following broadcast is brought to you by the iGolf Sports Network. The Women of Golf show is sponsored by the iGolf Sports Network and Golf Tips magazine. iGolf Sports is a live stream broadcast and media production company providing quality programming designed to attract the golfing enthusiast. And Golf Tips, the game's most in-depth instruction magazine, with insightful reviews on the latest equipment, tips from top teaching professionals, helping you improve your game from tee to green. Good morning, welcome to the Women of Golf, the #1 women's golf show around the world, with host Ted Odorico and Cindy Miller. Join them as they interview some of the best players from the Epson, LPGA and Legends Tour, and so many others helping to elevate women's golf. So without further ado, here are your hosts, Ted and Cindy.
All right, welcome to the Women of Golf show, the premier destination for the stories and voices of women's golf. I'm Ted Odorico. Joining me is LPGA professional Cindy Miller, and we are your hosts here on the Women of Golf show. Every week, we bring you the inside track on the LPGA and Epson Tours, helping you elevate your game through the eyes of the pros. Plus, later, Cindy and I are going to head over to the No B.S. zone for another great discussion. But let's get things started by welcoming this morning's guest. Her name is Kaleiya Romero, and she is a San Jose-born standout who transitioned, to the professional ranks in 2026, following a stellar career at Pepperdine University. She's a four-time All-WCC first-team selection and the 2023 WCC individual champion. She is known for her elite ball striking and power. And beyond her play on the Epson Tour, where she is currently a top contender in the race for the card, Kaleiya balances her competitive schedule with her role as an assistant coach for the University of Oregon women's golf team, the same program where her sister recently made history as a top-ranked amateur. So, Cindy, let's welcome Kaleiya Romero to the show this morning. Good morning. So we're glad to have you on. We're not normally this unorganized. It's just it's early Tuesday morning, and we're just getting up. So you got the Ducks cap on. We see you're ready to support your team. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. And it's kind of got some Augusta national colors in there as well. Of course, the Masters was just this past weekend, and congratulations to Rory McIlroy for back-to-back Masters. So I'm sure he's excited about that, as are many of his fans. So, Cindy, I'm going to let you go first, if you don't mind, and you can go ahead and speak with our guest for a few moments.
Tell us about your season so far this year.
We just finished up the Florida stretch, and it was like my first tournament since Q school. And so it was kind of like for me just to like see where my game's at, get back into like the competitive mode. And so I had a great start with a top 10 in Atlantic Beach. And I was super happy with that, and then went over to the next tournament and had a top 5. Kind of in both tournaments, I had a interesting like final round. With the first tournament, I had a double and a triple, but then 2 eagles. And then the second tournament, I think I had like 6 birdies the final round, and then a double bogey. So it was kind of like I knew I could contend and kind of keep myself in the hunt for first place. But there was still like a couple of things that I could probably work on just so I don't have those big mistakes. Yeah.
What the heck?
It was interesting for sure.
So what's the best part of your game?
I'd say that like my length kind of gives me a bit of an advantage. And I've been hitting my driver super solid, super straight. And so when I have like a wedge or a short iron to some of the tucked pins, it definitely helps.
How far do you hit your driver?
Well, in Florida, I think it was like like a good drive was almost 300 yards. I think just because it was warm and I've been practicing in Eugene. And so, yeah, that was a little bit of adjustment too, because.
What the heck? Wow. So what's your next event?
So in about a week, I head over to Southern California for the West Coast stretch. That's when it starts.
Beautiful. What have you been working on since Florida?
Well, right after Florida, I went to Augusta caddy for my sister. And so this has kind of been like my first week back, getting ready for this next stretch. And so I've been working on wedges, and then ball striking and putting. Kind of all of it, obviously, but focusing on wedges.
Because that's what you have into every green.
Yeah, and I wasn't really working or focusing on that because kind of at Q school, I was having irons or longer irons in. So I was focusing a lot on like that. But in Florida, I realized that I was having a bunch of like 70-yard shots and I hadn't practiced that in a while. And so.
What a shame. Driver wedge.
Yeah. Tough break.
Ay. Ed, go ahead.
So I want to ask you about your transition, if you will, from collegiate to now out in the pro circuit, because a lot of people don't understand. They just think, well, golf is golf, but it's not. At Pepperdine, of course, you're playing part of a team. So there's other people there that you have to work with and you have to play alongside and help one another, if you will. But now you're all on your own. So was that an easy transition for you? Are you still trying to adjust to that a little bit? How does it feel now that you're all by yourself out there?
Yeah, it's definitely different, but I think that like I caddied for my sister for a few LPGA events last year, and that kind of gave me an idea of what life on tour kind of looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just realized that you have to like keep your circle kind of small, but if you have a good group and a good team, like it's not as like lonely and boring as a lot of people make it seem. And so like my mom comes to me to a few tournaments. My brother can caddy because he's also a collegiate golfer. And then I travel to my sister's tournament still. And I've had friends that were on my Pepperdine team are now on tour. And so like kind of just keeping yourself around people, I think, is what helped me transition to tour life. Yeah.
Professional golf, and you have to have some friends and things like that, but you have to be careful too, because when you get too many people around you, as Cindy always refers to the committee of they, everybody wants to chime in and give their 2 cents and how you should do that. Exactly. It's just, yeah. And you have to be able to tune that out. And sometimes when you're surrounded by a group of people that everybody's trying to tell you what to do, it makes it very confusing, especially in your early years. Once you've been out for a little while and you've played competitive golf for a few more years, you're going to settle into your own pattern, and then you're not going to care what they say as much. But right now you're, a little bit, but you've got a sister, which I'm assuming obviously is older than you. Is that correct?
She's younger.
Okay. Wow. She's already out in tour then? Wow.
Well, no, she's still at Oregon. She's a junior.
Oh, okay. I'm
but
sorry.
she gets those exemptions and stuff.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, I've caddied for at like US Open and a couple of like local LPGA events.
Now, you said that you caddied for her at the Masters. Is that correct?
For the Augusta Women's National Amateur. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what was that experience like? Had you ever been there before? And how did you, when you saw the course, was it everything you kind of expected it to be from what you've maybe seen in the past on TV? Was it more overwhelming than you thought? Give us your take on it.
So it was my second time this year. And so last year, I caddied for her and we were leading after 2 rounds. And so kind of like my focus was just like on her and trying to make sure like I was a good caddy and like kind of keep her calm in that kind of environment. And so I honestly wasn't really paying that much attention. I mean, I was like, oh my God, it's Augusta. This is awesome. But because we were in such like a big moment, I was kind of like not fully embracing where I was, which was so like this year we were still in contention, but we weren't in that final group, and so I kind of was able to like take it all in, walk around more, and kind of like wow, I'm actually at Augusta, and this is super cool, and kind of like embrace the whole experience. So yeah,
You didn't really get a chance to smell the azaleas, as they would say. You got to see a few of them, but you didn't really get a good look.
No.
So as a caddy, I want to get into the coaching aspect here in just a minute, but I want to ask you as a caddy, because you are your siblings. So you obviously, I'm sure growing up, you had your moments where, and I have no doubt you probably get along, but there's gonna be moments when as sisters, you're going to complain and bicker at one another. Are you a good caddy in the sense that, do you know when to stay quiet and when she really needs you to come in and help her out? Like, do you know when to back off and that? And does she get a little snarky with you sometimes when you say something she doesn't want to hear?
She's definitely told me to like stop talking if I'm saying too much, but I've caddied for her so many times now, and I know how particular she is with her caddies, and she like never wants to hire a course caddy because she doesn't like know them, and she doesn't know like if they're gonna talk too much, and so she always like tries to get me, my brother if I can't, and then our head coach at Oregon if he's available, because we all kind of know her game, how she likes to like move around a golf course, and like usually I don't say anything unless she asks me. And so like at Augusta, you can't use rangefinders, so I'm like just trying to get her a good number, help her with the wind, and then kind of like just notice where maybe you don't want to miss it, and just little things like that. And then she'll like ask me if like, is it okay to hit it here, or like, is this club here good here? And it's like I don't do too much, and you can always see me like on the greens when she's putting. I'm nowhere near her. I let her do her own thing, and that's just how she likes it.
Who's the better caddy for her, you or your brother, in your opinion? Do you think he's a little bit more reserved, or is he? And I don't mean that he knows more or anything like that. That's not what I'm getting at. Is I'm just saying, do you think that he's better for her than you, or vice versa, or about the same?
I always get the first pick, so I'm gonna say I'm a better caddy. But she did shoot like 10 under with him on the bag on a U.S. Open qualifier, so he's also a great caddy. But when it comes down to it, I always get the first ask.
Wants to be, yeah. You're her bigger sister, so she's going to be around and have you around. So let me ask you, as I said in the opening bio, you are an assistant coach at Oregon, hence wearing the Ducks cap. Tell us about that, and how does coaching elite players like your sister change the way you look at your own golf swing and course management? In other words, how do you see it? Do you see it differently now that you're kind of on the other side of things a bit?
For sure. After Pepperdine, I think I was a little bit more, I think like I was super anxious on the golf course. I wasn't having a lot of fun, and I think I put way too much pressure on myself. And so I think like missing my first Q school and going to Oregon and do my master's and being an assistant coach was probably the best thing for me. And so I only played 3 tournaments last year outside of Q school. And I kind of like stepped away from competing for a little bit and just, I was traveling with the team. Our actual assistant coach was pregnant, and so she wasn't traveling. And so I was out there on the course with the girls and learning from Coach D, learning from them, and seeing how Coach D kind of maps out a course and like what his like thought process is behind like learning a new course, where the girls should hit it, like fat part of the fairways, middle of the greens, and stuff like that. And which is something as a player at Pepperdine, I never really thought about it. I was like a rangefinder and hit kind of girl. And I always hit driver off the tee, just trying to send it up there. And so at Oregon, I kind of realized that it's okay to lay up. It's okay to go for the middle of the green. And seeing how my sister plays, and I mean, we finished top 4, so everyone on that team was super good. And I kind of just learned from them and how they play golf. And it kind of translated into my own game. And when I started competing again, I was like a completely different player.
Well, that's good. And that's what you want to take away. Do you have a greater appreciation now that you've had some coaching shoes on for a little bit? How, from a coach's perspective, how sometimes players can be challenging? Like, because I'm sure there were a few out there. I mean, they're not going to be real mean or anything to you because, as you say, Coach D's there, so he's going to work them into shape if they have to. But do you have a greater appreciation from the coaching side now, what they go through, having to deal with multiple personalities out there in the golf course, and how sometimes personalities can conflict and cause, all kinds of issues? Do you have a greater appreciation for that position now? And is that something that you
Yeah. I kind of noticed how like everyone is different. And people take information this different ways. They practice differently. They want to be like, some want to stay on the course longer. Others, like right when the practice round are done, they want to go to the hotel. So, and all of it works. Like, it's just what the player needs. And so I realized, like, as if I was ever to go, like, be done competing and go fully into coaching, I could understand that now. But also, like, I'm kind of like the same age as a lot of these girls. And so I think they saw me as like more of a teammate, which was awesome. And it was like I had like 5 new friends, and we traveled, and I just tried to help them as best I could.
Well, that's good. I think it's a good experience, and it may be, as you said, and who knows what's going to happen down the road, but at some time when you decide I'm going to hang up my golf clubs on the golf course and I want to get into maybe coaching, the next generation, that might be something you may be interested in doing. And you've had a little taste of that now. So Cindy, go ahead. I'm going to let you, if you want to dive in a little bit more, or if you have some other questions you want to ask, go ahead.
What do you do for fun?
Well, Oregon is beautiful. And so when the sun's out, we like to go to the lakes, hike. There's a lot of little waterfalls. And my siblings are here too. And so hang out with them. We go to like baseball game, football games, kind of just anything. We stay off the golf course when we don't have to be.
Just to get away from it. That's good. Are you going to play a full schedule on the Epson Tour this year?
Yeah, I'm planning on playing pretty much every event. I may, in the fall, me and my agents were looking at playing in some of the PIF series. And then I'll be going to nationals with the team because it's during an off week after the West Coast stretch. And that might be my last tournament as a coach because I started in February, and I realized that it's getting hard for me to go to tournaments and be at practice all the time. So,
where is nationals?
It's in San Diego, in Carlsbad. Yeah.
Nice. And do they play 5 and count 4?
Yes, and it's like 2 or 3 rounds of stroke play and then match play.
Awesome. And they have a good shot at winning?
I think so. If everybody's at full health and ready to go, I think last year when we finished 4th, we had a lot of injuries we were dealing with, and so I think everyone's healthier this year, and so I think we have a good chance.
And what year is your sister?
She's a junior. And my brother's a junior on the men's team.
Awesome. And where does your family live?
My parents are still in San Jose. My dad's a chiropractor. and his office is over there. So, but they come to as many tournaments as they can.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he adjusts us like right before we tee off.
Do both parents play golf?
Neither parent plays golf, so just us three
Really?
kids.
That's odd.
Yeah, our grandparents got us clubs when we were super young, and I think that the fact that all three of us played made it super fun, and that's why we enjoyed being out there every day.
That's great.
That's a little different twist to the story. Usually it's, you know, the parents that, you know, somebody gets you interested in that, but that's unusual that not one of your parents really plays. They don't play at all?
At all, yeah. They'll pick up a club as a joke and try and hit a ball on the range and probably will miss. But I think it's better that way. Like, they were just like happy to be out there supporting us. They never tried to get in there and try and help us with our swing or anything because they don't know it, like, what to say.
Advice when you suck, right?
Yeah. I know it was.
Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. But like my mom caddied at Q school and we made it through together and she was just there making sure I eat and drink water and help me push the cart.
Which is great.
Yeah, I think so.
Just support me.
Mhm.
Smile and keep your mouth shut.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. What else? What do you like about it?
Golf?
Yeah.
Well, I just like how we're always playing new courses, traveling to different places. We're like always outside. And then we have like a great team here. I can practice and there's like 6 people always around. And we'll go play and then I get to play with my siblings all the time. And so that's really fun.
That's awesome.
I want to ask you who's better, because I'm sure that can differentiate from time to time. But who would you say is the most? What's the word I'm looking for? Is one of you more? And I'm talking about the 3 siblings. Is one of you a more laid back style golfer? One's a more aggressive or assertive type, like or conservative maybe in their play, and one's a little bit. I'm going to fire for every pin. Where do you guys fit in that position? Go from yourself and your sister and brother. Who's fits what shoe?
I'll say my brother definitely works the hardest. He loves practicing. He'll hit 1,000 balls if he could. But I think we're all kind of a similar player. We're pretty aggressive. We like to go at pins, and you have to do a lot of convincing to get us to not aim at a pin.
Right.
And I think like I hit a little farther. My sister's a little more straight, but she still hits it pretty far. But she is the #1 amateur in the world, and so the last year I've definitely been like when I was coaching, I learned a lot from her. But she is super laid back. She doesn't spend hours and hours on the range. In fact, like we gotta like push her a little bit to go practice. But that kind of taught me that like, look, I don't need to practice for 8 hours a day to be really good.
No,
I need to prioritize.
I mean, if she's
Exactly.
#1 and sleeps till 10, who cares, right? That works.
She
for her.
she definitely like is super focused for the few hours she is on the course, and I think that's what I learned is like a couple good hours on the course is better than like banging balls for 6, and then going to play is what we like to is like what she did a lot. And so I like realized like maybe I need to get off the range and start playing more. And yeah, I know she's my little sister, but I learned a lot from her.
You have to play your own game, and what she's doing may not work for you. Maybe you need to be a little bit more out there playing and practicing than what she does. And, you know, vice versa. If she was to step it up and do more like your brother, let's say, and beat 1,000 balls out there, that would maybe affect her. Like, you have to find your own rhythm. And Cindy, right? Am I not correct on that? I mean, we've talked about that on the show many times where, you know, one player tries to elevate their game in a different status and ends up collapsing because and I don't mean physically collapsing, but they just emotionally collapse because they're not able to play at that pace. And they're changing their own internal rhythm. So you have to sort of play your own game. And that's what we were, you know, when I referenced what Cindy and I have talked about in the beginning of the show, and that is the committee of they. Because everybody said, well, but you need to be practicing more. You need to be doing this more. Maybe you need to be I mean, if you're hitting the ball close to 300 yards and you're how old?
I'm 23.
I'm many multiples of that. And I'm not hitting it 300 yards. I can tell you that. So, I mean, you're doing something right. It's working for you, and you're playing, and you're working as an assistant coach. And I think you've got a lot of, a lot of energy and a lot of drive to continue on. What is going to be, besides the obvious win, what are you going to be happy with at the end of this season? Is a win going to do it, or do you have a goal in mind? In other words, where you want to finish the end of the season?
Well, obviously the goal is top 15 and get that LPGA card and move on. But kind of just learning, enjoying the process. It is my first year as a pro. I've only been pro for a few months and competing on tour I've only played 3 tournaments. So, just kind of being like, I'm super grateful for the opportunity to be like able to compete in all of these events. And so just kind of learning as we go, keep doing what we're doing, and enjoying the process and all of that is like my goal.
Very good. Cindy, any final thoughts or questions that you have for?
No, just go have some fun. Keep learning. You're going to be fine.
I think it's good. And I think it's good that you're wanting to mentor by being, a coach yourself. I think that's good. Is that something that you think down the road that you would really be keen on doing, or is that just, it's been fun now, but I don't know if I'd want to do that as a career?
It's definitely been fun. Like coaching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After you finish playing, is that something you'd be interested in transitioning into?
Oh yeah, we're going to play as long as we can. But it's definitely something I would want to do. Hopefully Coach D is still coaching and I can go hang out where he is, because he definitely makes it a lot of fun. And having my siblings here definitely helped. But yeah, I'm not against it.
Would you say he was your mentor?
Yeah, I learned so much from Coach D.
Well, maybe he can prepare you for down the road when he's ready to retire. You can take over his position.
Maybe one day.
You'll fit right in. So not yet.
You may not need a job.
Yeah.
You could win a few U.S. Opens. Yeah,
that's right. And then you don't need
Let's
to
not worry about that yet.
That's the game plan.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kaleiya, thank you very much for joining. It's been a lot of fun. It's been interesting to hear your story, and it's equally interesting to know that you've got 2 other siblings that play competitive golf as well, and your parents don't play any golf. So that's something different. Well, I don't think we've had too many of those on the show. But we want to wish you best of luck for the season, and hang tight. We're going to take a quick break to hear from some of the partners who keep the women of golf driving forward. And when we come back, things are going to get real. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, I'm Karen Jansen, LPGA Master Teaching Professional and National Academy of Sports Medicine Certified Personal Trainer, and I'm very excited to share with you my Cardio Golf online subscription. Professional golfers know the importance of athletic development for golf. As a recreational golfer, you might not have the time to train like an elite athlete, but by simply adding a few golf-specific exercises and swing drills into your daily routine, you can dramatically improve your game, and you can do it at home with Cardio Golf. I have various pieces of equipment to help you train indoors, away from the golf course, Like the Cardio Golf Shorty Club. This club is short so that you can swing inside, you're not going to hit the ceilings or the walls. The Cardio Golf Slope. This is great to simulate an uphill and a downhill lie. You know, the ones that you get on the golf course, but there's nowhere ever to practice. We also use this as a fitness step. I also have various pieces of equipment from Golf Gym, like the Power Ball and the Power Bands, to help you improve your strength and flexibility. Join me every week as I take you through workouts that are going to help you shape your swing and trim your score. Start a free trial today. Go to cardiogolf.com.
If mental clutter and inconsistency have been sabotaging your performance, rhythm and tempo phrases could be your breakthrough. These powerful phrases tap into your brain's natural rhythm-motion connection, syncing your swing to tour-level precision. Think of it like your body's instinct to move with the beat. This is scientifically known as sonification. With audio golf, we harness sonification to align your swing perfectly with the right rhythm and tempo, elevating every part of your game, from drives to putts. Let's talk about Pat, an aspiring pro. In just one 30-minute session, his leg putting accuracy shot through the roof. It might sound too good to be true, but you can experience it for yourself. Click the link and get access to the free lesson, 15-foot putts in 10 minutes with rhythm and tempo control.
All right, welcome back to the Women of Golf show. Again, I'm Ted Odorico, and right alongside is LPGA professional Cindy Miller. And Cindy and I are now going to dip our toes into the No B.S. zone. And interesting enough, Cindy, the discussion that we're going to talk about is sort of the realities of being a player coach. And that sort of falls in line with our earlier guest, Kaleiya Romero, who is an assistant coach for the Oregon Ducks, as well as playing on the Epson Tour. So she's kind of fits that mold. But I want to ask you, because you've been both as well, and I thought this would be a good topic to have with you here. And the first question I have, Cindy, that I want to talk about is, can you do both? Can you sort of maintain a professional? I know you're not playing as much professional golf now as you did before, but you've been coaching for a long time. So can you play a professional career as a player while at the same time coaching at a high level? Or does one eventually have to suffer a little bit for the other to thrive?
I don't know that you could play full time.
Right.
And be a coach on a college team. You couldn't do that because I don't think the school would allow you to do that.
What about as a teaching professional, like as a coach, as what you're doing now, not necessarily for collegiate, but just as a teaching professional, what you do now as your career?
Yeah, I mean, I was still teaching while I was playing on the Legends Tour.
Right.
And I played in all the Legends Tour events that I could get into. So I did that. And I, worked out fine.
Yeah. Did you find that it helped, or did it hinder your play at all because you're trying to help these people over here at the same?
No, I think it helped both.
Okay.
It helped me and it helped them because it made me aware of what I was doing wrong and how much I might try too hard. Right? You might be choking your guts out, trying too hard, making silly mistakes, going for pins you shouldn't go for, or hitting shots that were not the smartest shots. And then teaching my students how to play a little wiser, make better swings, make better decisions. Practice smarter, just not be foolish. So it made me look in the mirror and see reality. Like, you're not as good as you think you are, Missy. And neither are they. And let's both get better.
Right. Let me ask you, because this is one I think that, and this applies in any profession, it's not just golf, but I'm curious to see on this. So advice versus execution is the next question I have, and that is, why does it seem, and maybe it's different for you, but I think it's typical throughout the business. Why do you think is it easier to give a student maybe that perfect swing thought or that thing than it is to take the advice yourself? Why do you think it's harder for people to take their own advice, but we're very free in giving it? And I'm talking from a coach's perspective, because I know, and I'm not saying you personally, but just to look at it from that perspective, do you think that that's something that is just inherently, I don't want to say it's an ego thing for coaches, but do you think that, well, we're going to give, Sally over here this swing thought, but when it applies to us, we may not do that?
I don't like that. I will take the advice from someone I respect because I want the results. So I was different, and I would sit behind really good players on the range and watch them. And Carner and Whitworth and Lopez and Donica Pony Young. And they'd turn around and go, "What are you doing?" "I'm watching you." "Why?" "Because I want to learn." "Well, that's stupid." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You're way better than me, and I want to be good." And I would ask if I could play practice rounds with them. So I was not stupid. I knew they were better than me, and I would probably take too many instructions and become confused. But I was so hungry to learn. So that's not me. I will take instruction from
What about
someone I
giving?
respect.
What about giving yourself that same advice? So, in other words, if you're giving advice to a student, let's say for a particular issue, you can plug in whatever you want. But now you've got to turn the tables and give it that same advice to yourself. In other words, when you're out in the golf course and you're faced with that scenario, are you going to take your own advice or are you going to dismiss it?
No, I'm going to take it because I see in golf there's a consequence, and I've played long enough to face and have the bad consequence. Now, if there was no consequence, I'd be stupid and I wouldn't take the advice. I'd be hard-headed. But in golf, there's a consequence, and it's a double or a triple. And then it's a miss the cut, and then you don't make any money. And now, if there was no consequence, different story. But there's pain involved. I don't want the pain.
Right. Well, the reason why I asked that is because there are, believe it or not, there are coaches. And again, the reason why I prefaced this earlier with stating that it's in a lot of different professions, not just golf. There's a lot of doctors that will, you're sitting in their office and they'll say, well, you need to do this diet, you need to do this. And then you see them scarfing down, someday through the drive-through at McDonald's. And I'm not criticizing McDonald's, but they're not eating making them the most healthy choices, but yet and that's what I'm getting at, I guess, is the approach I'm talking about.
Now, again, if I was not going to play, am I hitting balls? No, because my arm is killing me because I got a torn bicep. Would I be hitting balls? Yes, if I could, but I can't make a backswing. So, yes, I'm going to take my own advice if I can swing.
Right. And that's good. I think you have to be. I think you have to kind of humble yourself is, I guess, really what I'm looking for.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of people, let's be honest, there's a lot of people out there that have a bit of a chip on their shoulder and they don't. That you can't tell them anything. They don't want to listen. They think they know everything.
Oh, no.
And you'd be surprised. Even in our business, there's a lot of, I'm not going to name names, but there's a few I know of that are like that. And it's like, man, I mean, come on. So
here's what I learned the hard way. And I probably shouldn't tell this story. I was trying to qualify for a Legends Tour event. And I was playing with a girl who was legally blind. And her friend had to line her up on every shot. She couldn't see anything. And now guess who's losing her vision? And so this girl beat me. There was a qualifier for one spot. And I was such a brat. Not with her. I love the girl. but she kicked my butt by one shot. So the whole way home, Alan was driving, as Alan does, not just looking at the road, and I was going off. I can't believe it. I can't believe she beat me. Oh, yeah, I was such a snot. She can't even see. And he turned and he said, she misses it better than you.
Yeah. Right.
And it was like he just whacked me across the face. And I thought, who do you think you are? You need to learn to miss it better and stop being such a brat. And that was the best lesson he could have ever given me. And from that point on, I thought, shut up, you little snot. So it's like, learn to miss it better.
You know, I not to the same degree, but I played years and years ago at when I was still back up in Canada at Glen Abbey, which is where the Canadian Open had been for years.
Yeah,
And
I used
to go up there all the time and play. And I remember there was a gentleman, he was a veteran, and he had sustained injury, so he could only play with one arm. He only had the one arm. And older guy, probably at that time, if I was to hazard a guess, at least 75 to 78. And couldn't hit it very far. I could, knock it past him, but my putting was pretty sketchy. This man one putted every single green that we were on. He couldn't get very far. It took him a few extra strokes to get on there, but he one putted every single green. And afterwards, we were having a cocktail, and I just said, "Man, how did you get to be such a good putter?" And he said, I knew, number one, I was never going to be able to hit it as far because of my situation as I used to. So I said, the only thing that I can do that is going to help my game is to focus on the areas. And I know it's not exactly the same analogy, had better misses or was better at the misses, but he identified where his weakness were, accepted them, and embraced where his strengths were. And that's what he focused on. And I'm telling you, this guy, I mean, wouldn't care if it was 30 feet away, 10 feet away, whatever. He'd drain these things, and it made me sick. And I felt the same way. I just wanted to, and I still beat him, but I was embarrassed because I hit some bad putts, and this old guy is just dropping him down in the hole. And I'm just thinking, I can't believe this. I mean, I felt foolish at the time because I thought I've been playing for a long time, as I know he did. And I thought I should be able to just wipe the floor with him. And I did beat him, but I mean, I couldn't beat him on the greens. Couldn't even come close. But
you can be humbled.
Right. That's exactly what I was looking
at. You need to be.
Yeah.
And I needed to be. And it was a great lesson.
I want to talk very quickly about the coach persona, as it were. And this is another one here. As you mentioned a few moments ago, you were playing on the Legends Tour, and you were still coaching your students and things like that. So I know a lot of the players that were out there knew what you did. But you were out there to beat them. Did they, and not, mentor them, as they say. So did you feel that they, some of them, not all of them, but some of them were trying to be like a sponge and absorb your knowledge as a coach to see if you could help their game, even though you're out there to compete against them? Or was it more the other way around, that you were really trying, as you said, sitting behind the range, some of the top players, trying to watch and learn from them?
They didn't even ask me. They did not respect what I knew at all. So I was a sponge when I was on the real tour. And then on the Legends Tour, I was a sponge with the older players, not with the younger ones that were my age, because they wouldn't have tried to help me at all, because they would have been competing. But no one ever asked me for help because they didn't respect me. They didn't believe I belonged. They, and even in the TED Talk that's going to be coming out, one of them said, well, Cindy, our sponsors want famous people to play in our tournament. So I was an outsider because I hadn't played on tour for 30 years. Like, you don't really belong here. Which only made me want to work harder and prove that I did belong. And that's the year I finished second on the money list. So I did belong.
Take another shot, right?
That's right, baby.
Well, and it's interesting. And the reason why I bring a lot of this up is because, I think that, when you're somebody who is trying to do very similar to what this young lady that was on earlier, Kaleiya, is, she's trying to earn her stripes out on the tour, but at the same time, she's found a way that she can give back. And sometimes, it's a hard balance because, like she said, it's not always easy to get to the practices and to be able to do that. So, earlier or a little bit later on, she's going to have to probably make a decision. Okay, I can't do this anymore right now. I've got to really dial in on my game. And that's not an easy transition. Talk a little bit about, burning out, because, whether you're caddying, coaching, and playing, and if you're someone that's living golf 24/7, and I liked what she said about her sister, that her sister knows how to withdraw from tournament play and the golf course and just go and do whatever. Give us the sort of the no BS truth about how you prevent burnout when your entire identity is tied to the game. And I don't mean you personally, but I'm just saying as a general.
Sometimes you just have to come home. It's funny because I went to the bank yesterday. We had yesterday off. And the woman said, "Oh, are you teaching today?" And I said, "No." She goes, "How many days do you take off a week?" I said, 1, sometimes 2. And I said, "Today, I don't like people." I said, "Except for you two at the bank. You guys are fine." And I said, "But sometimes I just have to go home and not talk to anybody, because you just need to go stupid." And so we're doing a boot camp this week. We leave tomorrow. We got 10 people coming to Orlando, but we go a day early. And Alan goes, "We can go shopping the minute you get there." And I call it retail therapy. And I'm like, "Don't bother me. Cindy gets to go do what she wants. Just shut up. Leave me alone." Because you have to go stupid.
Yeah. Well, and you have to, I agree 100% with that. I think you have to be able to, and I know I don't want to sound like a broken record because we've talked about this many, many times on the show about players that have come on and talked about where they got burnt out to the point they wanted to quit because they were kind of like, now he's not doing it, but, Kaleiya mentioned about her brother who, would be out there hitting 1,000 balls if he could, but he's recognized he's got to step back. There are players like that. And for some that may work, but for a lot it doesn't, but they think they've got to do that in order to be competitive. And, then, fast forward, there's her sister who, plays a few hours on the golf course, goes and does whatever she does. Maybe she takes a nap. Maybe she, puts on Netflix, who knows what she does, but she's not thinking about playing golf. And here she is, the number one amateur in the world. So,
that's what's so funny, because Alan was the number one amateur in the country or the world too. And he's just like her sister. And we've got to do a corporate outing in a couple weeks. He doesn't touch a club and he just goes out there and hits it and he's perfect. And I was like her brother. "Oh, wait, I got to hit balls. I got to hit balls." And I had a dream last night. I'm cracking up because it was like, "Wait, I found my grip." It was like, "Wait, these fingers are pinching. This is it. This is it. I found it." This was last night. I woke up. I had to go to the bathroom. I'm like, "Wait, no, I got my grip."
But
it never stopped.
It is funny because, you do see a lot of players that get burnt out. And you can see it. You can see how their posture is on the golf course. But anyways, interesting discussion on the no BS zone, if you will. And I appreciate your thoughts and input as always, Cindy. You have some great insight, both as a player and as a coach. And also, we want to wish a huge thank you and congratulations to Kaleiya Romero for joining us and giving us a look at what it's like to balance life as a professional and as a mentor and or coach. I want to thank you for tuning into season 13, episode 6. You can watch the full video experience on YouTube or Spotify. You can also catch the audio on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, or any of the other major platforms. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can join Cindy and I next week as we continue to bring you the best stories in the game. Until then, keep it in the short grass. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed listening to this week's Women of Golf show. Ted and Cindy wish to thank this week's special guests. Remember to join them every Tuesday from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern here on the iGolf Sports Network or on any of these social media platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Castbox, TalkStream Live, and of course Spotify. To get updates on the show, you can follow the Women of Golf's Facebook page at www.facebook.com/womenofgolf. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.